And welcome to episode 91 of the TechnoBuffalo Show. I'm one of your two hosts for today, Sean Ani, Director of Operations, and I'm joined by Executive Editor Todd Hazelton.
Hey, everybody.
How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good.
Good. It's nice to have a short week once in a while.
Yeah.
Although I was not ready to come to work Tuesday morning.
I spent my weekend working on my my in-laws' house, their beach house, like opening it up for the season. So we did some manual labor. I was ready to get back to a desk.
Well, for those of you that follow me on Twitter, I posted on Friday the office fridge here in my office, which is it's a little dorm-sized fridge. I hadn't defrosted the freezer section in a couple of years. So it was, to say mildly, overgrown. So Monday, I took it outside at 6 a.m., put it in the sun, and between a combination of the sun and a hairdryer, I finished 7.5 hours later.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, I was...
And you can't chop it, right? Because you can... I mean, I've run into issues where you can accidentally hit, like, the Freon or whatever.
Exactly. Exactly. And the whole problem was that the ice had overgrown in the back and connected the top and the bottom. So I had to, and I couldn't get the hairdryer back there. So I had to wait for that. I'm like, every 20 minutes, I'm going out there and jiggling it, trying to break the ice connection. Yes, this is a tech show, folks. And we're talking about defrosting my freezer.
Defrosting fridges.
Yeah.
If only you'd had a smart fridge where you were monitoring the temperature at all times.
Yeah, anyway. You know, the only smart appliance that I'm dying for, and every time I do a load of laundry, I'm like, will you please die? I just want my washer and dryer to die so I have an excuse to buy a new washer and dryer. Because I where my washer and dryer are, it never fails. I'm like, okay, I think it's been long enough. I get down there and there's like 4 minutes left on the cycle, and you're just like, oh, please just end.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Please. But anyway, so yes, on to actual tech topics this week. Mm-hmm. So a couple interesting things going on. Apparently, the Galaxy Note 6 doesn't exist.
Yeah, that was apparently skipped over. We're going right from, well, rumor has it, we're going right from the Note 6 to the, not even just the Note 7, but apparently now the Note 7 Edge. But here's the thing. If there's a branding Note 7 Edge, that suggests there's also a Note 7 to me. I agree. Because, you look at the S7 and there's an S7 Edge and it's larger and stuff like that. So if it was just a curved phone, it would just be the Note 7 and it happens to have an Edge, I think. But who knows?
I don't quite understand this whole skipping the 6, but whatever.
Well, I get it because iPhone 7, Galaxy S7, now it's all coming in line. And then the latest rumor today was that, while we're talking about iPhone too, is that it might have 2 cameras on the back, which is actually, I mean, it sounds like a gimmick, but we've seen it. LG did it on the G5 with a fisheye lens and then a regular lens. And then here I have the P9 in front of me. It just came. And this one shoots in monochrome, like so black and white and then color, and then magic happens behind the scenes and it's able to get crisper images or something like that. But here's the thing, like these, I guess they're great photos. I mean, they look really nice, but I get great photos from my Galaxy S7. I get great photos from my iPhone 6s Plus. So it's like, man, how much better?
I agree with you. I think the whole camera situation with phones has gotten to a point of just silliness. Mm-hmm. Look, you're only going to get so much shot on a phone with a sensor of that size.
Right.
It doesn't matter what you do to it. It's still a phone sensor. It's still not going to give you high quality DSLR images. I'm sorry. I don't care how they try to spin it. It's not going to happen. It's mathematical. It's not going to happen.
Sensor size and all that kind of stuff, but
right. I mean, there's a reason. Yes, if I'm just going to take a quick picture or something, I just whip out my iPhone. It's a picture I don't care about. Oh, that's a funny sign, whatever. If I want to take anything for posterity, out comes my Canon. That's the way it is. I'm not going to rely on a phone for my most precious images of all time. But
Yeah.
yeah, the camera wars are they're getting ridiculous. 2 lenses and ultra pixels and just shut up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, because I think especially now where we've hit this, the conundrum I like to talk about where everything's good enough. Now, because everything's good enough, they all have to stand out just a bit more, and they all have to have that little branding, something different. Like, oh, this one shoots in, monochrome and color, and it's like and I hate to make fun of this because this camera is really, really great, actually, but they got to do something else, because if they just say, oh, it's a 12 megapixel camera, then they're like, buyers are saying, well, this phone's got a 12 megapixel camera and this one does too, so I don't really care. But then when you say, like, this one's got a 12 megapixel blah, blah, blah camera, though, then you're like, oh, I need that one, even though end of the day, they're both great pictures.
I wonder if anyone really does buy a phone based on the camera.
Back in the day, I think that was a big thing, but I'm not sure anymore. I feel like we have hit that sort of, it's okay, everything's good.
Yeah, exactly.
I would, because the thing is, like, I wouldn't buy a phone for the camera, but I would not buy a phone that has a crappy camera. If that makes sense.
Good point.
So it has to be good enough. It has to, like, I have the Nexus Robin, right? I bought that and I like it. I think it's a really great design, but the camera kind of sucks. And I don't have my SIM card in it anymore, and I barely ever did because I was just like, the camera's just not very good. It's okay, but I also own the S7, so I think the camera there is better. And for me, that's enough of a distinguishing thing. Same goes for, like, the BlackBerry Priv, for example. Thankfully, they all have these better trade-offs, right? Like, Nextbit has a really cool design, and BlackBerry has the keyboard and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, if you're going to take a picture and you're like, oh, it's going to come out like crap, I'm going to lean towards a phone that has at least a good camera. So that would say, I'm picking the S7 over a Priv or a Robin, but maybe I'm not picking the S7 over a P9 or a G5 or something like that, or even an S6, like, because the camera is still really good on the S6.
Right. I don't know. I just don't get that worked up about cameras, but. As for the Note 7 Edge, I mean, what are we hearing August now for the announcement?
Well, yeah, it'll be that time frame. It's usually, historically it's IFA. It's always at IFA, but rumor has it, to get there earlier, even further before the headphone, the iPhone 7, Samsung's going to try to deliver it maybe late August or something like that. But, when people say, I don't know how these rumors work, but sometimes people say, like, oh, it's coming early, and, maybe it's before IFA at a press conference still in Berlin just before the show. It's hard to tell. I would expect it end of August, early September. That's unless there's, like, a drastic bump forward, which is always possible too.
Yeah, we shall see.
But I tell you what, that makes my job easier at IFA. It always does when they break up these press conferences, so I don't have to go to 20 of them in Germany. I can go to, 3, and there's an earlier press conference for Samsung before the show.
Yeah. No, I always like to have press conferences broken up.
Yeah.
So speaking of phones, we're also getting close to the OnePlus 3 release.
Yeah.
And the imitation system is finally dead. Huzzah!
Yeah, and the latest report today was that they're going to have 1 million in stock, which shows, a huge change in business, practices for OnePlus, where previously they were taking these pre-orders, building them, making sure they had customers for them first, and now they're like, all right, we're going to have 1 million. So maybe that's just, their estimate on initial sales, and they can always build more if they need to. But that's pretty neat. And I think it's June 19th. I gotta Google it. It could be the 14th. It's something like that. June 19th, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, this is turning into a busy month. Yeah, not to get off topic, as we just learned today, there's another T-Mobile Uncarrier event coming.
Yeah, June 14th. That's what it was. Sorry, it's like it's stuck in my head. It was one or the other, 1 or 9 or a 4. June 14th, OnePlus 3. And yeah, Uncarrier 11's on Monday.
And then the following Monday we have WWDC and E3.
Right. Yeah, E3's that whole week, right?
And then we've got OnePlus 3. It's going to be a busy month.
Yeah. But, it comes down to, like, do people care about OnePlus the way they used to? And I can't tell because I know our readers have always been, for the OnePlus One was like this big thing. Everybody was like, "Wow, great handset, cheap price." OnePlus Two, I feel like it kind of died off, and now OnePlus Three, it's like, it could go two ways, right? Like people could say like, "I don't care anymore," whatever, or they could say like, "Holy cow, there's no invite system now. I really care again," because I think the OnePlus invite system really turned a lot of people off.
It's funny. I have seen exactly one OnePlus One out in the wild, and it was just a few months ago in the Phoenix airport in a airline lounge. And I was like, "Oh," I turned to the guy. I was like, "Oh, you got a OnePlus One." He could not have been less interested in talking to me. I was just like, "Oh, the first one I've ever seen out in the wild." Yeah, whatever. I was like, "Okay, fine."
Yeah, my son gave it to me.
Yeah, but I don't think. While it's interesting to our readers, it's interesting to the people in our circles. Mm-hmm. If you go out on the street, 99% of the people you talk to are going to go, OnePlus what?
Yeah, right.
They, in my opinion, have not done a good job of breaking out of the, for lack of a better term, the hobbyist realm.
But even within our realm, I feel like there used to be so much more hype around these phones, and I think it was, maybe partially the invite system or the OnePlus One was such a great handset. Then I don't know, maybe people were kind of put off by the OnePlus Two. OnePlus X is awesome. I think people really like that, the design, but obviously didn't support all the bands in the US for broader LTE. It does support LTE, but. So,
well, I think OnePlus 2, I think OnePlus 2 didn't thrill people as nearly as much because it wasn't that major of an upgrade. It was lacking NFC, which is still a boggling exclusion to me.
Yeah.
But, maybe OnePlus 3, from what we're seeing, how readers are reacting, maybe some of the excitement's back. But do people really still care? I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. And also, actually, we forgot to mention June 9th is Lenovo Tech World, where we should see the Moto Z and Moto, Play and whatever their style, I think. So that's a lot of stuff this month.
There is a lot going on this month. I am glad I'm not editor-in-chief at the moment. But
yeah, lots of prep.
Have fun, guys.
But you know what? I feel like we've been in a bit of a lull. It'll be nice to have an exciting month again. Even with I/O and stuff, like I/O is always fun, but it's more like, okay, especially this year, it was like, okay, like here's the Android N preview, public preview, which I love, playing with on the 6P and stuff, but it wasn't like, here's this and this and this and these products and like all this fun stuff again. And now it's like, whoa, here we go. We're going to have, new Motorola phones probably. We're going to have WWDC, probably learn a little bit about iOS 10, sort of like I/O. Then we're going to learn about OnePlus 3. I don't know, E3 stuff. I'm sure I'm already missing something.
Have there been any rumors yet as to the name for OS 10 this year?
Yeah. Shoot, what the heck? I just wrote an email. It's not. The rumor is they're going to change it from OS 10 to Mac OS. Mac OS. That's the rumor.
Whoa.
So not like OS 10, Mountain Lion, but like Mac OS. So we'll see if that actually happens. But I guess it kind of works because you have iOS.
It does make sense. It does make sense. Maybe they will have a new naming system.
Yeah, maybe it'll be like, like Mac OS Ray-Ban. I don't know. But like a name after it. I have a Ray-Ban case right in front of me. But you know what I'm saying? Like they could name it like that instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4 or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. It makes sense though. I mean, it'll keep it in line with the iOS and watchOS,
tvOS.
Yeah. So it makes sense to me. About time they stopped using OS 10. I mean, my goodness gracious, that thing's been going forever.
Yeah.
But at some point they had to finally give up that ghost, I think. So the other thing that's been going on is, and it just so happens the tweet went out a few seconds ago about the Nexus phones could start packing extra software.
Yeah.
That's not why I buy a Nexus phone.
Yeah, that was a report that came out yesterday, and it's from the Code Conference, and I think Recoded The Verge wrote it up, quoting Google CEO. And I think that the idea, I mean, basically saying is like Nexus phones might not be pure Android, but I think the way, the first thing is like, what? They're going to put bloatware on it? What? It's going to be like a skin? I don't think that's what he meant, and obviously I don't know, but I think what it means is like Nexus phones might have capabilities built in that other phones might not necessarily have, and so therefore you have a modified version of Android. Like, take for example, like Project Tango. We know it's going to make its way into smartphones eventually, like Google's talked about this. So what if there was like a Nexus smartphone, like the Nexus Tango, and it supported Project Tango? Obviously, like, it's going to need its own software on a Nexus phone that doesn't need to be built into Android for phones that don't have Tango support. So like, that's why I think he could say, oh, like, yeah, it might have modified versions of Android because it would need to have that. For the and I feel like maybe they have other things like what's it called, their new VR thing, Daydream. Maybe that's part of Android, and they build on Daydream, and they have these extra features that phones with higher end hardware can support, but entry level phones that are sold in emerging markets obviously wouldn't need. So why would that be part of basic Android? And so it's only on these Nexus devices or whatever. I think that's my guess, but who knows what he really meant.
I don't know. It just, to me, the Nexus phones, anything Nexus branded is just supposed to be Android. Done.
Yeah, I get that.
But we'll see. I mean, it's Google. Who
but the overall gist of that story too is that Google wants to have more of a hand in designing the smartphones, the hardware and stuff like that. So I think that's where it's coming down to it too. Like, they want to have, probably some sort of phone that's like their, iPhone. Like, this is our phone and it's going to be updated all the time, and maybe even more so targeted at consumers. And that's just pure speculation.
So one thing we were discussing just before we got on the show, and we've already mentioned it briefly, and I just want to go into it for a few minutes. Does anyone really care about Uncarrier on Monday?
Yeah, it's kind of, I think it's been overplayed. I think the T-Mobile's done some great things, obviously, with Music Freedom, Binge On, these things that, Binge On, I think, was kind of weird. It's like, I guess if you really care, but low quality video, or what I deem low quality video. But international roaming, these kinds of really neat things that other carriers obviously have adopted in a lot of ways. In some ways, especially getting rid of contracts, aka just changing the contracts. So I'm interested from that standpoint in terms of like ripple effects from what T-Mobile announces. And rumor has it, in fact, AT&T I think already responded to the rumors, but rumor has it T-Mobile is going to have like these like incentives, like rewards for customers. So I think examples were like coupons to Pizza Hut or blah blah blah, like nice little things like that. And then also possibly equity in the company, which would be like stock, but probably so little that it wouldn't ever matter, like like a $30 share of stock or something, or like a percentage of your stock. Now AT&T responded to those rumors already this morning, just an hour ago actually, and I don't think we've written it up, and it's not crazy breaking news or anything, but it's called AT&T Thanks, and it's like an appreciation program for AT&T customers. And in it, they have like Ticket Tuesdays. So AT&T postpaid wireless customers qualify for a free movie ticket on AT&T when they buy one at full price for a Tuesday showing. So obviously you need like...
It must also be a full moon. The wind must be coming from the northwest.
Yeah, you can go to, and this is not an ad, but att.com/thanks. And you can learn about it there. They also have like Live Nation tickets. I'm reading literally from a press release here. Select DirecTV customers get special content. Woo! Like you're paying for DirecTV. In any case, so you can see AT&T is already reacting to T-Mobile's Uncarrier 11 because that's what's expected from T-Mobile on Monday. And to answer your question, it's so tough to get excited about this stuff again, unless it's like these really big things that affect the whole industry. And as we can see now, I'm not sure that movie tickets or a free slice of pizza people are really going to give to two thoughts about it.
No, I agree with you. You know, and like you and I were joking, I think we should come up with uncarrier bingo cards. You know,
Yeah.
did he say, you know, which of these curse words did he say? Did he walk out with a Red Bull? You know, did he slam AT&T? You know, it's become
Did
so
he say this curse word or that curse word? Yeah.
Yeah, it's become so predictable, and it's just the excitement is definitely off of that flower. I mean,
Yeah.
it's an uncarrier event. Okay, they haven't been exciting for a while, but you know, to whatever makes him happy, which is apparently very simple things.
Mm-hmm.
So diving into the questions. And we got one here from Brazen Franco I'd like to address immediately. Why isn't TechnoBuffalo covering Computex? ASUS has announced their new lineup of Zen devices, and there are some pretty amazing tech deserving to be mentioned, like the Acer Stackable PC, a programmable keyboard where each key is a display, etc., etc. As you all know, I'm no longer editor-in-chief, but I can definitely speak from the past. There is simply a line of we don't have enough people to cover absolutely everything.
Yeah, we were actually invited to go to the I mean, obviously, but
it would be great if we could cover everything, you know, and PCs is one area where we've always gone if we have the time.
yeah, to be honest, it's if we have the time, you know, is there a big interest? And frankly, with a lot of, I mean, ASUS, we cover some of their like Chromebooks and stuff like that. In fact, I just bought the ASUS Chromebook Flip, and it's awesome. I think we talked about that. But when we cover, you know, some of these brands or products at other shows, you know, there's not a whole lot of interest sometimes. So like it's sort of put on the back burner until, you know, maybe until it's released or until we can get a hands-on or something like that. And without being a Computex, you know, we're not there. So just not sort of priority. And that's the other thing too. It's happening, you know, at different hours. They're not, you know, this news isn't coming while we're working at the computer.
Yeah, so it's not a slamming of Computex by any means. It is just simply a resource allocation situation for the most part.
Yeah, I'd love to be there.
We'd love to cover everything. You know, it's not enough hours in the day and not enough bodies, unfortunately. Let's see here. From Sachin Bahal, what are your predictions for the OnePlus 3?
I think we went over that a little bit, but
yeah, it'll make phone calls.
Yeah, I think, you know, all I can do is cite the rumors that we've seen, and it's probably the same things you've read, but, you know, Snapdragon 820, 1080p screen, I don't know, a camera that works. So I think that's all, you know, there is to say until we see the price. I mean, that's going to be the big thing too. It's like, does it perform well at the price? And if it doesn't, or if it kind of feels cheap or something like that, then I think it's going to get knocked. And, you know, who knows how many more OnePluses we'll see it. Now, if it's bonkers, it's awesome. Everybody says this is the must-have phone, you know, then I think it'll be good news for the company, obviously. But I think one thing that's important to remember too is OnePlus, when it first came around, it was like, they called themselves a flagship killer. They were this company, you know, low prices for flagship hardware. Everybody is doing that now. So it's a danger zone for OnePlus, right? Like there are so many companies that not only make their flagships, but also make, you know, lower end versions, not even that low at affordable prices. And I'm looking at like Motorola, for example. So,
you know, being a child of the 70s, meaning I was a teen in the 80s, I can never hear the words danger zone without immediately hearing the song in my head.
Yeah.
Oh, Top Gun. But what a time to be alive that was. Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. You know, the whole flagship killer thing is just kind of gone by the wayside. All the companies have brought down their prices. They've all upped their game. You know, it's just OnePlus has got to be more reliant on making a great phone that people really want than worrying about what it's doing to the industry or the competition.
Yeah. I mean, you have $400 right now. You can buy a lot of phones that are really great. And, you know, if you have $200, you can buy a lot of phones. So I don't know, like what OnePlus is going to do to really stand out. Besides, say we're the flagship killer, or say this is we're the standout company. Except the thing is, that's not really true anymore.
Yeah, so no, I agree with you. It is what it is. We'll see how it plays out once it's announced. Have we heard if there's going to be any phones other than the 3, or is it just the 3?
I think it's just the 3 right now, but there's I guess a couple of variants depending on storage and RAM and stuff like that.
Right.
So pricing will vary.
Yeah, should be interesting. Mm-hmm. We shall see how the announcement plays out. Hopefully, it's not in virtual reality this time.
It is.
Oh God, why?
Yeah,
that was such a massive pain in the behind last time. Oh, good grief. But also from Sachin-Bahal, will you guys be getting the OnePlus 3? Why or why not?
Probably a review. I don't plan on buying one.
I don't plan on buying one. As for why not, I
have several flagships.
It's not like Todd and I have massive stacks of phones, but you have to realize that for us to go out and spend our money on a phone, we have such a constant rotation of review units coming through that I don't know the last time John bought a phone. Mm-hmm. John always has a phone, but I don't know when he last bought a phone. Right. It's simply, there's so many phones rotating through. So for us to go out and spend our money on one, it really has to be a killer phone. If Todd gets a review unit for the OnePlus 3 and he calls me up and says, Sean, this is the most amazing thing ever, then I'll take a look at it. But as it stands right now, I don't hardly even look at phones anymore. It's just, well, let me rephrase that. I look at the phones, but I'm not looking at them from the perspective of which one am I going to buy.
Right.
All the phones are so good now that when I need a phone, I'll go out and I know, okay, that'll be a good one for me. And I'm done. Mm-hmm. But as for just constantly sitting around going, oh, where's the next phone I'm going to buy? That just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. And then there's times where Todd goes to a press briefing and comes back to the press room at CS and goes, I bought a NextBet.
Yeah. I like that phone, but I'm not sure I would do that again.
Yeah, I know. If I remember right, I just kind of looked at you over my glasses like, what? From Sachin-Bahal as well, what phones are each of you using as your daily driver right now? Nothing's changed for me. Still the iPhone 6s Plus, or not 6s, excuse me, iPhone 6 Plus and the Galaxy S6 Edge are my two.
One is my 6S Plus and one is under embargo.
What could that be?
Yeah.
Could you hold it up and show it to the camera?
Yeah. Before that, I've been using the S7 Edge for a long time.
For those that are unfamiliar with the term embargo, I heard Stan Lee once said a great thing about comic books. You have to remember that every comic book is somebody's first comic book. Mm-hmm. So even though we've explained embargo before, this could be someone's first podcast. Embargo means that we have been sent a device or information prior to the date it's going to be announced, and we were trusted to not leak that information. So we have a review unit of a phone, and this is going to be the funny part, I actually do not know which phone you're talking about. You'll have to tell me later, off mic.
I don't know.
I'll sign the NDA. So we're sent a phone before the review date so that we can have time with it to write a review. So that's what embargo means when it comes to a phone. Mm-hmm. From Brazen Franco, what do you think of the Zenfone 3 lineup now that they've moved from Intel SoC to Qualcomm's?
I think that's what makes sense. Yeah, system on a chip from Intel. Well, Intel was sort of moving its way out of the mobile processor business, and not the Atom side, but like the mobile processor. So I think naturally, Zenfone's going to move over to Qualcomm because they're making the chips.
from those listening to the audio version of the podcast, that sounds was me just shrugging a lot. Like, I don't know. I forget sometimes that not everybody that consumes this show can see me. From Sachin Bahal, do you think we'll get another Nexus tablet anytime soon? Nope.
No, I don't think so.
I think they're done. And it's sad. I mean, the Nexus 9 is a great tablet, except for that freaking power button. I never will like that thing. But no, I think the Nexus tablets are done. Which really, puts a big question mark on what's going to happen with Android tablets, period.
Yeah, that's what I've been curious about, because with the Android apps coming to Chrome OS, it just makes sense to have like a Chrome OS tablet with Android, in my opinion. I don't know, that has accessories like a keyboard, like all that kind of stuff if you want it. It just seems to work better, a little better than Android. I mean, I think that was present in the Pixel C, right? Like, people aren't jumping over each other to get that.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, the part of the problem with the Pixel C was also how much it was.
Right.
That was not a cheap tablet. Let's see here. From Sachin Bahal. Hey Sean, I really liked your evolution of post the other day. You guys should do more of those types of posts. Funny story about that post.
Yeah.
That post had been in the system for 2.5, 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not kidding. I'm not exaggerating. That's how long that post had been lingering in the system. We decided to do a house cleaning of old posts, except there's one post, I won't say what it is, but Todd, what it is.
Yeah, I do.
There's one post that lingers in the system that is to never be published.
That's what Sean does.
It's become like the company mascot. How long can we keep this one post that Sean wrote unpublished? But there's nothing wrong with it. It's what we call an evergreen post, but it's just become like the running joke of we know the company's still in business if this post remains unpublished.
Yeah.
But
last post it'll ever run.
Yeah, probably. The evolution of I had originally envisioned it as a series, and after I wrote that one, I was like, well, we need to see if anyone even likes it. And then it sat around the system for 2.5 years. And people seem to have liked it, so I may actually finally end up doing more of them, but I'll have to go back and look at it and remind myself how I even formatted it.
Right. It's pretty simple, just going through the Microsoft logo. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, no. Well, a lot of other companies don't change their logos quite as much as Microsoft does. Microsoft has gone through a tremendous number of logos. Apple, they went from rainbow to silver. That's a 2-image post. Real quickly, one thing that I had not listed, and Todd, this will be an education for you as well. So this week there was a lot of Star Wars Rogue One news, and this was all centered around a report had gone into Page 6 in the New York Post.
Reshoot, right?
Yeah, the reshoots.
Yeah.
Page 6 is a gossip column been running
York
for
Post.
years and years and years and years. And an anonymous source had told him, Star Wars Rogue One's going in for reshoots, that it, is a disaster of a movie. It's not, working. And here was the key for me for the entire thing. It wasn't working for test audiences. Bull! There's never been a Star Wars movie put before test audiences.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that doesn't sound right. That's funny.
There never will be a Star Wars movie put before test audiences. This isn't a thing. So as the week wore on, people were going, the Star Wars franchise is in trouble, yada, yada. Anyone that knows anything about movies, at least studies the way they're made or whatever, knows that reshoots are built into every major blockbuster schedule. The actors are informed of them when they're signing their contracts. The reshoots for Rogue One have been on the books since before the first day of filming. This is just a part of how things are done. Now, I have heard that Disney executives feel the film is a little too dark. Star Wars, while dealing with serious subject matter, has always kept a bit of a lighter tone. And from what I'm hearing, they made a true war movie. and they think it's a little too dark for the Star Wars name, so they're probably going to punch it up with a couple more sight gags or something like that, which work well, like the thumbs up in Force Awakens and so on. So I love, though, anytime something like this happens, people immediately become an expert on the film industry. Reshirts are happening. That means the movie's a disaster. No, it just means it's a movie that's being made for a certain budget.
No, it's a disaster, though.
Yeah, I know. Well, it was kind of like, the whole thing that happened after The Force Awakens came out and everyone got all excited about Rey, and they started running around, wanting to buy the action figures, and they're like, there's not any Reys on the shelves. That just shows that the toy company didn't believe in her and they didn't make enough. No. The way case mixes work in the toy industry is that the most popular characters will get like 2 per case, and then you have your lesser characters that get 1 per case. She was a 2 per case. Finn was 2 per case. She was produced in the same numbers. It's this thing called demand that outstrips supply. But I loved how everyone was running around and they suddenly understood everything about the toy industry. No,
Right.
That's not how this works. Anyway, so I just it's been bugging me all week what people have been saying about Rogue One. It's just, everyone needs to calm down. Anyway, from Brazen Franco, do you think Microsoft will manage to dominate the AR VR space with their holographic OS, or will they end up with another Windows phone if someone else shows up with a more open alternative, or Google Daydream goes beyond just VR?
I think that's the big risk, but I think at least they have it early on, right? Like they're let's see, besides Daydream, you're not seeing like Oculus open up to everybody else, or HTC Vive stuff. So I think at least this time they're playing their cards early, not sort of. I mean, obviously they had Windows Mobile, the original Windows Mobile, but it was totally different from the very touchscreen friendly multi-touch operating systems offered by iOS and Android. So I don't think it's going to be a Windows phone, but obviously you need people to adopt it. And it sounds like Asus sort of hinted at it. We have a post on that actually, that they are going to adopt software from a major company. So it was pretty like who else, right? So it's got to be probably Microsoft. So as long as there's partners building stuff with it, they should be in a good position. But it all comes down to like how good is it, what content's available and stuff like that. And I haven't spent a lot of time, actually any time, with HoloLens. Jacob on our team has. And it's still, not a consumer product. So it could be held up that way too. When's it going to launch? Really getting everybody's hands and stuff like that. I mean, all these factors could contribute to it following the path of Windows Phone or not.
Yeah. Anytime Microsoft is at the forefront of an industry, I'm just like, oh, great. There's a better version coming. Yeah. Oh, Microsoft, you keep trying. You just, sometimes you want to walk along and pat them on the head and go, good try, guys. Good try. But speaking of, since I just showed bias, from Sachin Bahal, do you guys still receive gold bars from Apple and Google? Duh. I mean, of course we do. Don't you know all tech reviewers receive gold bars in abundance? From Brazen Franco asking the weekly question, what have you returned this week, Todd?
I had to return, it's boxed up to go back, the Asus Chromebook Flip I bought. The first one, the micro SD card slot didn't work. So I bought a new one, and that one works.
So I would not call that a return in the traditional sense that we've been giving you grief about for years now.
But I still,
that's an exchange for a defective product.
Yeah, and I just, I've had it for like not even a week. Oh, excuse me. So there's still a chance this will go back ultimately too.
Oh, Todd. Anyway, well, I think that is going to bring this week's episode to a close. As always, we do appreciate you joining us. You can find the Techno Buffalo Show on the iTunes store, where you can just search for us, and we do appreciate if you rate and review. That does help out the show. You can also find us on Pocket Casts. You can subscribe via RSS feed. You can find us in the Google Play Store. You can find us on the Stitcher app, which means you can listen to us anytime, anywhere. Essentially, wherever there are podcasts, you can find the Techno Buffalo Show. Until next week, I'm Sean Ani. I'm the Director of Operations, and I've been joined by Executive Editor Todd Hazelton.
Bye, everybody.
Till next time, take it easy, everyone. Bye-bye.